mother, what you cooking, man?
What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Iron Minds. Iron sharpens iron. We got Pedro and Lombard here. Hopefully Trey will join us. How y'all doing today?
What's happening? Happy Tuesday. Let's get ready to get after it, boys. How we doing?
Just happy to be here. How about you, Pedro?
Dude, loving it, loving it. Beautiful day, beautiful time of year. Up with you, lovely gentlemen. Starting the day in a great way, and the week is going nice. Hopefully to continue that trend.
I like it, Mike. We got 18 days, dude.
18 days, baby, till game day. Very, very excited for it. Coming up on the final grind. Yeah, this is the final tough stretch. The only thing that's been my nemesis has been sleeping. Been really busy with working, been really busy um, been really busy with content and just so many other things. I feel like I haven't gotten people will be like, oh, that's, people might think it's tough, but it's like I haven't really gotten more than like 6 hours of sleep in several weeks just from being up early on weekends. It's been my nemesis. Been freaking trying to get some rest.
What's your normal? I always wonder that about other people because what's a regular solid night's rest for you? About how long?
Ideally, I'd like to get like 7.5, 8 hours. That'd be clutch, especially with all the work being put in. Like last week alone, there's almost 14 hours of training in there. And it's like if you think about that, I mean, that's a freaking part-time job, and that's a takes a toll on the body. Just like anything we do, it takes a toll on the body, and you need to recoup. You need to recoup, recalibrate, recover for it. And it's gonna be really important coming down to this final stretch.
And I don't think I've ever even set the alarm for more than 7 hours. I don't remember the last time. I I try. I would love to sleep. Actually, I think a perfect amount of sleep for me would be 7.5 hours. I don't know if there's any science to this whatsoever, but I had heard once about some stuff about sleep cycles and something about 90 minutes. And it is funny because if I sleep 6 hours, I feel better than if I sleep 6.5 or 7. Like, I don't know, I feel like I just don't wake up the same. But if I get that like 7.5, I think that's like golden for me. What about you, Pedro?
Man, funny. I am pretty confident it was myself and Hunter that was telling you about that sleep stuff. Dean Croak, the guy with DAT, he did some study with Harvard or Yale, something like that, about sleep cycles for truck drivers and hours of service, and they found out that it's like 90-minute increments is how you sleep. You go into sleep, REM sleep, out of sleep, and that's just the way the cycles go. When you think you're still asleep, you're kind of still cognizant. So, yeah, they were saying that 90-minute or 3 hour increments when you lay down is what you should be doing. So 3 hours, 6 hours, 9 hours. So yeah, I feel the same way. Actually, I try that, and I usually sleep about 6.5 hours. So and I feel better right waking up around that 6.5 hour mark than if I do 7, 8, something like that. Because by their study, you're now technically going back into your REM sleep, so you're forcing your body to wake up instead of it being naturally coming out. It was a whole thing. Pretty interesting stuff, man. But I totally jive with it. It makes sense to me, man. So, but I usually sleep 6, 7 hours. That's usually It's usually my thing, man. Bed about 11, up at like 5:30 ish, something like that.
I try to lights out myself at 10, and I set my alarm for most days for 5. For about a couple weeks, I was doing it for 4 because the longer training blocks and stuff. But my non-negotiable, barring some sort of emergency, is like 6 hours. So I can function on 4, but I know I'm not going to get a good workout. I know I'm going to be surviving the day. I won't be at my best. But I mean, I function high off of 6 hours, and that's been kind of my MO for the better part of a decade. But I do try for more because rest is important, man. Not like
Hey,
when we're in our 20s pretending it's not.
listen, Nick. I know you're getting closer and closer to that AARP discount. Which shout out to Nick. Happy birthday again. Yesterday was Nick's birthday. He's a young 53. on, on that note, Lombard, I think he purposely scheduled this Ironman for right after his birthday so he could go up in age class. So that way he
I'm
doesn't
still in
have
the
some
same
kind
age group. It don't matter. But that would be the way to do it.
that would be the way to do it. You come in
I think we lost
like
Lombard
30
again.
minutes, yeah,
He'll be
30,
back.
30 minutes behind Lombard,
Well,
but
I
you get like a
appreciate it,
10
man.
credit for your age.
For me right now, tell you, it's the I got to dial in my nutrition and my diabetes. It's been all over the place.
Yeah,
Oh, hold on. I got to add him back.
I think he loses signal walking like going through the house or
Lombard,
whatever it's
add
called.
a stage.
Bumped me out for some reason. Yeah.
So
And he's back, I think.
there we go.
Yeah,
So
so
anyway,
um,
hold on. I was
let
gonna
me
I was
see.
gonna ask you,
Yesterday,
Nick.
Lisa asked me what I wanted for dinner
Can you still hear
and
me?
gave me a couple options, and I actually chose to have breakfast for dinner because I love breakfast, and that was my birthday dinner. So had some chocolate chip pancakes, protein pancakes too,
Nice.
scrambled eggs. She made home fries from scratch, and it was delicious. But then I also had a red velvet cake, and I went to bed with a good blood sugar, and I woke up this morning to find out it was a high 200 all night, and I just gotta quit fucking around. It's like that one decision sends things haywire, and then with all the other chronic conditions I have, they all tend to trigger each other. So we talk about sleep. The more sleep I got last night would have been the more detrimental to me because I would have been lying in bed with that high blood sugar level longer. So if I'm going to focus on one thing between now and the race, the most important thing I can work on is I have to get my diabetes straight so that I can wake up on race day, rested, that I can eat and actually fuel for the race instead of having like a high blood sugar, having to navigate that. That'll be the one thing that, physically, just from the training, it's going to be a rough day, but that's why it's called Ironman. It's not called Easy Man. So, but the thing that'll make my day go haywire or not, or if like my blood sugars go haywire, or if my POTS goes haywire, and there's so many things that you can't control, with a day that long. I got 18 days to focus on the things that I can.
Speaking of which, I want to. I don't know if we really went into this, but you've been
Have a
talking
comment
about
hiding here.
you've been talking about
Good
training with.
morning, Jessica. I don't know how to add that from right here. There seems to be a missing button. So, there we go. Hold on.
Can you not hear me?
I can hear you, but I wonder
It's
if
still not
he
allowing me to,
can't
but
hear us.
there we go.
Lombard, can you hear me?
Boom. Good morning,
Yeah, I can hear
Jessica.
you, Pedro.
Okay, cool.
Happy
I
to
think
have you
he
here.
can't hear us.
So,
Yeah.
what the weekend look like for you guys?
Can you hear us,
Nick,
Nick?
can you hear us, Nick? I knew it. I knew it, dude, because
Everybody
I
still
kept
there?
trying to talk. I'm here, bro. I'm here. I got you, man.
Yeah,
Hold on,
we're here.
let me
I can't hear Lombard. Is he talking?
Yeah, I'm talking.
He's talking. I can't hear. Pedro, can you hear?
Pedro can hear me. But anyways, yeah, I wanted Nick to go into what POTS is and kind of explain that for the crowd.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Well, this is weird.
We had a guest that like he could hear me but couldn't hear Hunter, vice
Huh.
versa. It was so weird, bro.
All right.
StreamYard's been geeking out on us. Leave and come back in, Nick. Let's try that.
Well, you all talk, and I'll just sit here and look pretty, because I can't hear any of you.
Yeah, but I wanted Nick to tell us what POTS
I wonder
what
if I
POTS
leave
is
will
and how he's
I
been dealing with it.
screw up the stream.
There we go. Can
Let's see if that
you?
fixes it. Yeah, I can hear you, Lombard. I got you, broski. I got you loud and clear, man.
Yeah, the thing. Yeah, it's important we talk about sleep too, because again, sleep is something we can't avoid. And I know we're saying 6 hours is good and everything, but reality is, and I've said this multiple times, is that if we did not need that proper amount of sleep, then evolution would have taken care of it. And
Hey, hey, you.
that's the whole point.
I, I don't. I'm not saying my 6 hours or 7 hours is everyone's. That's just how I've operated for so long. Honestly, last time I used to get like really solid amounts of sleep was, believe it or not, in the army, dude. I was in bed 9:30 every day, up at 5:30. But you know, other than that, being a truck driver, you know, only getting that, 6, 7 hours of sleep because you need time after you drive to wind down. Like, so it works for me. But hey, if you're an 8 hour, 10 hour, 12 hour sleep person, do what you got to do, boo, to make sure you're well rested, whether you're doing an Ironman or not.
I'm back.
Nick, can you hear us again?
I can hear you now.
All right, sweet.
Nice.
Yeah, I wanted you, Nick. You've been posting videos about training with POTS. Let's hear what is POTS syndrome. How'd you find out you had it, and what's training with it like? How do you navigate?
All right, I'm going to do my best to keep it simple because it's a complex condition. But POTS stands for postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. And it's a chronic condition of the autonomic nervous system. So it disrupts, well, everything. The kind of marquee thing that gives you this, like, the marquee symptom is that when you stand up after sitting for really any period of time, when you stand up and your blood starts to, fall to the ground because of gravity, your central nervous system says, hey, this is normal. Let's pump the blood throughout the whole body. And so you don't have anything wrong with you when you stand up. When I stand up, my blood starts to fall and gravity starts to fall. But my nervous system doesn't know what's going on. And so the blood literally drains from my head. I get lightheaded and almost pass out, and sometimes actually pass out. That's sort of like one of the marquee symptoms that says I may have this thing. But it shows up in a lot of different ways. And I first experienced, the first time I remember like passing out hard was like 2020. But I didn't really, it wasn't until after I got COVID that I started to notice other symptoms, and mostly because of running. So some of the other symptoms of POTS is exercise intolerance. So on those easy runs, or let's even call it a fast walk, I might be anywhere from a 14 to a 16-minute mile pace, just trying to stay in an easy zone, because something in my nervous system told my body that we're under attack, and everything goes into like fight or flight and goes haywire. One of the other symptoms is excessive sweating. So you've heard me talk about that for a long time now, where, I can go for a nice easy jog, nice easy run, and I'm losing 7 to 10 pounds of sweat in that hour. It don't matter if it's 80 degrees. It don't matter if it's 50 degrees. Obviously, it gets worse and sometimes. And there are other symptoms too. I mean, it disrupts your sleep. It messes with your digestion. And ultimately, I think the worst thing that can happen is what happened last week, where at the end of my 20 miler, about mile 16 or 17, even though I was running well, all of a sudden, I'm walking at a 13-minute and 30-second pace. I'm doing a run walk. My heart was 160, doing a run walk at a 13:30 pace. My body went absolutely haywire. And now a lot of people call this a flare up. I call it a crash because that's where you just get this absolutely crushing fatigue. When I say crushing, it's hard to stand up. I had to, the first time when I had that crash last summer, I went to the kitchen to go get some water and I lay down on the floor and I stayed there for hours because I didn't have the energy to get back up. And it's part of your body, like I guess, and honestly, I think it's something like your nervous system is telling you to get down. And that's why you see a lot of people with POTS. Swimming is very popular with POTS because you're in that horizontal position. Even biking isn't as bad, but the recumbent bike, you see a lot of people doing. So I knew something was wrong with me because I've been running for years and keeping track of all this data, but nobody believed me. You know, they look at me, even though I have cancer, even though I'm a diabetic, even though I have sleep apnea, 15 other things wrong with me. The amount of ignorant ass doctors who tell me how healthy I am, honestly, because of how I look, because I'm in physical shape, because I work out. And so I spent about 5 years chasing a diagnosis. I had everything done from a heart cath, half a dozen different pulmonary function tests, just ruling out everything until we finally arrived. And this was with the help of AI to help me kind of narrow some things down as a potential diagnosis for POTS. And that's when I finally was able to see the cardiologist and get that diagnosis. Now, the good news is I know what it is, which means I can begin to learn how to deal with it. The bad news is there's like no cure for it. And so I was given a pill called Midodrine, which is supposed to help increase my blood pressure. I can't tell if it's doing anything or not. The sweating still seems to be an issue. And ultimately, how do you train for Ironman with it? And I made a video about this probably about 4 weeks ago. And I said, honestly, it's the same as anybody trains for Ironman because you have fuel needs just like I do. They may be different needs, but you know what? I bet if you took 10 Ironman or 10 triathletes or 10 runners and you line them all up and you ask them about their nutrition regimen, you're probably going to get 10 different answers. And so I've come to realize that my regimen might need a little more focus than some, but it's not all that different. So the big things is staying hydrated, which again, I mean, if I'm losing 7 to 10 pounds in an hour, you know, even a liter of water isn't gonna be enough. So I'm gonna have some hydration challenges. On a daily basis, I take 10,000 milligrams of sodium every single day, and that's even on the days I'm not training. And so obviously upping the sodium intake and making sure that I'm able to increase the sodium uptake in the longer miles, I think that's where it'll help me to kind of manage off that crash. I know I just talked for a while, and I could go for hours on this subject because it's so undefined, but I think I'll just start there.
No, that's good. I think I've always been more curious about what POTS is and how you've been able to navigate it going along this because 10,000 milligrams of sodium is a lot for really anybody. And I'm curious. Like I said, I feel like that there's an anomaly with POTS that you're going to be able to break with what your current regimen is and kind of buck the norms with how you're supposed to deal with POTS versus what you're doing.
Well, now that said, and this is started why I started doing those videos, and I kind of wish I could give more scientific info, but when I was chasing the diagnosis, when I knew what it was, but didn't have a doctor tell me yet, that's when I was just doing research and research. And I didn't care about managing my day-to-day symptoms. I know that sounds dumb, but I don't give a shit. I want to do this. I want to do other things. I want to live bigger. And so finding out how to manage the disease in a way that suits my lifestyle, very little information about that. Because all the information out there, and I get it, there are people who probably have this a lot more severe than me, I'm guessing, because most of the information out there, it's like, it's telling them how to do a few floor exercises. Like, and that's their day. You know, there's not POTS videos out there telling people to get after it and go run 20 miles. I haven't found any information. I found two two triathletes with POTS. I know there are more. They're probably just not big social media presence, but so I think like anything, this is not a condition that needs to keep you bedridden. And that's why I'm putting those videos out there. I just hope that maybe somewhere, somehow, somebody else is going to get the diagnosis. They're going to throw a temper tantrum just like I did and decide to sign up for something stupid. I hope that they find my video so that they see they can do it. But at the end of the day, it's all the information out there. And I think this is true for so many things. You know, if you look up back injuries, half the people are going to tell you, you know, to rest. You know, rest, ice, compression, and blah, blah, blah. There's not enough information out there for people telling you how to get active when you have things who are holding you back. Because at the end of the day, you know, I don't always encourage everybody to do all the things that I do. Sometimes I think I might be a little bit dangerous. And I'm not necessarily talking about Ironman, but it's not a restriction. It might make things a little more challenging, but it is not a restriction, and it's not here to stop us. You know, and that's the point I try to make by just sharing whatever I can. But I mean, I'm still learning. And to be honest, that's where a month ago, I just thought, as I was doing my video and talking about the nutrition and everything, and I'm like, dude, how are you any different than anybody else? Every other athlete out there has to consider their hydration, their nutrition, especially in an event like Ironman. I mean, I know some people who go out on marathons, they're like, yeah, I bring like a gel or two, and I'm like, okay, I don't understand, but that's fine. But very few people are going out there winging it next month, I would assume. So everybody has something they have to work through. The things that have helped me for sure, and this is one of the reasons I really like this and some of the transformation I wanted to see. You know, all this time on the bike is giving me so much great zone 2 work that takes very little recovery. Almost none of the time on the bike trips the POTS. I mean, don't get me wrong, I get symptoms, but like there's nothing that's gonna send me into a crash. Swimming is legit, as you know, amazing active recovery, not just for regular athletes, but again, from a POTS perspective, because you're fully buoyant, you're fully level, like you're getting compression from the water, so all the blood circulating. And even if I got into the pool as some sort of like this ultra stressed out fight or flight, I come out of the pool relaxed. And so I really feel like a lot of this training has helped me to better manage the POTS. It might seem counterintuitive, but I think the biking and the swimming has actually helped me manage it all together, and it's definitely made me a more capable runner. I mean, even in the Olympic triathlon I did this weekend, I did the 10K at like a 9:49 pace, which is a lot faster for me than I normally do. And I think I ran a 10K, just a straight 10K in the fall. Yeah, I did around October. And I ran it in like an hour and 1 minute. And my heart was like 165. I think it was like 180, 190 at the end or something. My heart rate during the triathlon, where I ran faster than the 10K, was 155 to 160. It never even got into the threshold.
And for the record, how old did you just turn?
47.
So I think that's really one of the biggest messages in all this is a lot people are always going to find what is going to restrict them from doing things that they might want to do but don't believe that they can't, because our mind is going to automatically convince you can't do it. And then the other thing, people like when it comes to fitness in general, like I've been telling some people this at Orange Theory. A lot of people have ran their first 10K and done some of their first races. Is you can continue to get better at these types of activities. You will get fitter. Your endurance will improve up into your 60s. And even then, if you start running at 55 years old, like if you just started running at 60 years old, there's a guy who's done this. There's a guy who started running at either 50, like he started running at 50, and now he's still running in his 70s, and he's gotten fitter, like with some of his heart rate stuff, and he's still running marathons. Like that is what your body will do and improve. You have to compound it. Like we were talking about that at a run yesterday with this one guy we know, Slim, here in Austin. He's ran an Olympic qualifier, so he's going to go to the trials and stuff. this guy's been running, intentionally, and at like a, in a intentional effort since he was, 13 years old. He's been running for like over 20 years in a structured format, like through middle school, through high school, ran in college, and then after college kept doing the same type of programming a professional runner would do. And this guy's gotten better. You hear a lot of people who've either ran track in high school and maybe even college, and they were, they could have been a D1 track person. If you keep up that level of discipline in what you do in your workouts as a college track player, you can continue to get better afterwards. But the thing is, people don't do that because there's no structure. There's no team. This happens to a lot of people after high school. The percentage of people who don't play a sport after high school goes down. This is why running and triathlon specifically are so great, because there's still so much competition out there. This is also why I think it's a good thing that High Rocks has become so popular, because it's a different type of race for people that's not running in triathlon. Is that if you can find something that can give you structure, you have no idea what you can be capable of. But I wanted you to share this stuff about POTS because, hey, look, if anybody has Instagram, if you were paying attention to the BPN Last Man Standing, you had that guy go 110 miles in a wheelchair on a trail. Down, and the only reason he tapped is because there was so much rain, and the wheelchair itself was so bogged down with mud and tires. There's videos of him dragging the wheelchair while he's on the ground, and he's going through it. And this guy did 110 miles in a wheelchair. Your arms are not meant to do what your legs can do. Period. Like it's just your arms were built for, put on your body for an entirely different purpose, and it's definitely not for wheelchairing 110 miles in like sometimes some torrential rain and all that downpour, but yet the guy did it anyways. And these are these subtle reminders that you need to do it anyways, that it doesn't matter like herniated disc, whatever, I had an injury 5 years ago, I had a knee replacement. I know a triathlon coach, she's had both her knees replaced. She still went to Kona last year. So like, really ask yourself, when people are making excuses on why they're not able to do something, you really got to look in the mirror and say, is this the excuse that I'm building for myself, or can I not physically do it? And they might think that there's like, well, this causes too much pain. You need to figure out how to accomplish whatever task it is you're trying to do without that pain. Biking is one right there. I think that's a very perfect, like, if you are somebody who, you don't want to get the walking pad, you don't want to go for walks, you can have that stationary in your house. You sit on that for an hour, you have no idea what you're doing for your body. But I mean, it's just, we're at the point now, we're almost in May, where the excuses have stacked, have become a skyscraper in our lives for a lot of other things, because the year has gone in full swing and there's so much going on. The excuses are going to continue to stack on top of you. Who do you want to win? Do you want the excuses to win, or do you want to actually win?
Dude, I love that. I love that a lot. And I'll tell you, I think of it this way too, is whoever said we needed to avoid pain, whoever said that pain wasn't to be experienced. I mean, the things that we avoid, the excuses that we give ourselves, is that it's going to be hard or that it's going to hurt. That's not an excuse, it's the reality. And whoever said that's a reason not to do it, like, that's why to do it. I'm coming out of this thing 18 days and, well, probably 14 hours from now. Standing up off the couch ain't going to be a thing anymore. You know what I'm saying? The things that would hold me back to be afraid of anymore. Like, I can't possibly imagine that I will be able to outdrink the dehydration that's going to hit me in the marathon. And I'm going to prepare for it. And then after that, there's very little in the world I'm going to be afraid of, because I know that I can get through it. And I'll tell you, I mean, I even told you last night, when I did that triathlon in Tarpon Springs last year, there was like 5 people in my age group. Dude, there was 76 people in my age group on Sunday. That's just my age group. That's a lot of people out there getting after it. And as much as I've been training, I still only came in 50th. So there's this is definitely a sport that I think can help pave the way for you as you get older. Like, when I played competitive beach volleyball for a long time, I figured I'd be dead by now. Like, you don't see a lot of people out there pushing 50 being competitive and getting after it. But anytime I'm out on some race course, even the Spartan races, there are people 10, 20, 30 years older than me, more than 30 years older than me, who are out there crushing it. And I think it's about, our own frame of reference, because you don't see an 80-year-old crushing a 25-year-old, but they're beating it for themselves. And then, I had one more point, but I think I forgot it. Yep, nope, lost it. Just getting better or getting older.
Exactly. That's what we got to do. Again, and yeah, you said it right. And especially if you're somebody who says that they're a Christian. Again, we are meant to. It is meant to be hard. We're meant to struggle. Things are going to hurt. Bad things are going to happen, and you're supposed to navigate them. That doesn't mean you run. That doesn't mean you run from those things. We should not be running from pain and a lot of stuff. Yeah, you don't need to, intentionally do bodily harm to yourself. That's not what we're talking about. But if running hurts and causes a little bit of shin splints, is that it? I was just having a conversation with somebody, and this will be the last thing before we wrap up. So I was talking to a driver who does, who's a local driver, and I was talking to him about I was like, where to start, and about how he needs to start tracking his steps. And they said, I have an Apple Watch, but I don't really like I don't like wearables that much. And it's like, and that these are the types of excuses I'm talking about, where these little things where if you're going to talk to me and say, hey, I'm at risk of type 2 diabetes, and then I'm talking to you about tracking your steps, and you're like, I don't really like wearables, what don't you like more? Again, it's the choose your hard mentality. Okay, so you don't like wearables. That's considered hard for you. It's uncomfortable. Okay, you're at risk of type 2 diabetes. You have to pick one. You have to pick, you have to choose your hard every single day. So it's either you say, I don't want to wear the Apple Watch because it's too hard, and so you choose type 2 diabetes, or you choose to wear the Apple Watch and realize that it's a little uncomfortable. Like, what you are always going to have to choose your hard no matter what. It's either, and whichever one you choose is your choice at the end of the day. If it's that hard, if you think it's hard to get in 20 minutes of walk, good. You'll choose the hard of diabetes, fatigue, high blood pressure, heart disease. That's the hard you're choosing by saying, okay, you're right, walking's too hard, or doing a 10-minute stretching routine is too hard. Fine. You're making the other hard choice, which is to choose a life of chronic disease, medication, and being a slave to pharmaceuticals. Choose your hard.
What is the story you want to tell yourself at the end? Choose your hard. Love it. You want to take us home?
Let's do it, baby. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll have to check in on where Trey Griggs is at. Hopefully he's so we can sharpen some of his iron. But again, we've got the Iron Mind Slack group. We're always riffing. If you need anything at all of us are here for you. You got to find your tribe and community and people to help drive yourself to thrive towards success. As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. Hey man, we'll see you back here next week. Same time, same place.